Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Excellent. So today we're going to talk about something completely different. We're going to talk about digital transformation, progress, and challenges. So thank you all for coming. I'm told that SAP effectively warmed this room before we came here. So thanks for tolerating the temperatures. So why are we here? So there's a few questions. You're hearing some common themes at the conference in terms of digital enterprise, and many of you may have some questions, and some of these could be, what is the role of the digital emerging digital organization today? So today you're going to hear from some speakers who are going to talk about progress and challenges and what that progress looks like, or how companies can begin to transform. Many companies are looking to how they can leverage existing data and systems without compromising cybersecurity. The same companies are recognizing that although many of the technologies that are available today, many of the employees are not ready for such change. So what does the digital organization look like in the future compared to the past? And with so many computing workloads being offloaded to corporations like Microsoft and Amazon and Google, how can companies secure both edge-based systems and mobile devices? And what do we do to ready our business customers to be more agile, or will they just simply get it? So these are some of the questions that we hope to address today. So we've got some simple advice on how to transform. Don't panic. So how many of you watched SpaceX launch a Tesla into space past week? Just a quick show of hands. Excellent. So there's something about that, and what I really liked about watching this, first of all, I was amazed. I'm a big David Bowie fan, so I was captivated by the music as they launched this Tesla Roadster up in space. But if you're familiar with this phrase, don't panic, it actually comes from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So this is a novel that explains, like, don't panic was on the cover of the novel. And basically because they said the device looked insanely complicated to operate, and partially because the author didn't want intergalactic travelers to panic, so they put "Don't panic" on the front cover. So basically, Arthur C. Clarke just basically said, well, this is don't use panic was the best advice that he could offer humanity. So of course, Elon Musk used this phrase to help us get comfortable with a new paradigm in space travel. So like the space industry is being transformed, many industrial organizations are going through similar transformation today. So what do we find? So those of you that know ARC, we're a research and consulting company. We do a lot of best practice surveys. We work with many suppliers about where technology is going. And we look to manufacturers, and we try and determine what are their challenges. So interestingly enough, it's common to find pilots. So most industrial manufacturers are already piloting advanced technologies, and I'll talk about some of those advanced technologies next. So we find 80 to 85% of the companies are already there. But interestingly enough, from the same research, and we're using a sample size of about 157 industrial process manufacturers of different sizes, we actually find that only 5 to 8% are actually ready for digital transformation. Other analyst firms have also stated that many industrial users suffer from pilot paralysis and are unable to scale up and achieve benefits. We also know that there is no scale up, or there's no silver bullet, but most companies are taking steps, and we're going to hear about some of those today. And we also think that many of these steps have nothing to do with technology, but they have more to do with culture and people. Some of the technologies that receive the most attention today are remote services, ubiquitous internet, connecting sensors to cloud for various services from cybersecurity to asset performance management services. Platform as a service. Most vendors have already got robust cloud offerings. That would be somebody else's computer. Right, Mike Brooks? Open process automation, a disruption to the real-time layer in improving agility and bringing new innovation where traditionally things have been a bit slower. Robotics and drones for automating physical aspects of our operations and keeping workers safe, additive manufacturing, printing exotic metals and disrupting supply chains for maintenance repair organizations, or mobility, untethering workers using any mobile device. Simulation models are now common through cloud deployment and other lifecycle techniques. Cognitive intelligence, deep learning applied to every document that your engineers or your operators ever wrote, capturing intelligence and now transferring this on demand. Artificial intelligence, deep learning, pattern recognition, and probabilistic decision-making are now fueling a new era of accelerated decision-making. So, some of the aspects that we've noticed. So, a digital enterprise, we think, recognizes people first. So, like I said, 80 to 85% of the companies are now trialing and piloting new technology, but many are having difficulty scaling up. So we think a digital culture fundamentally is based on a foundation of sharing. People feel empowered to make a difference and confident to share data within an open governance model. Many companies tend to overclassify, and culturally there are barriers in how we publish information. Your newer workers are already accustomed to sharing. On many social media sites, they put their lives on Facebook and Instagram. So a lot of those ideals and cultures are now entering your workforce and helping employees share more. So tacit knowledge, the information that's contained in your operating manuals, in your maintenance manuals, is now pushed proactively on demand through modern computing systems. Computers, deep learning, and AI are now transforming a lot of this information. So computers in Japan and many other countries can now pass entrance exams of many of the common universities just by applying deep learning and other techniques to encyclopedias of information. So decisions now tend to be based on lots of data. So knowledge, a new era of knowledge is fueling competency and capability at a much greater level. So this basically improves decision making. Long delays in manual and data gathering activities become negligible. Corporate change readiness is another aspect. So organizations that are moving forward recognize corporate change readiness and creating a new level of understanding and capability to push change through an organization. So in terms of agility, it's no longer an option to go slow with transformation. So once employees are empowered and they're passionate change leaders in their organization, now methodologies such as lean manufacturing and other continuous improvement programs are making their way throughout your organizations. Cloud-first deployment is becoming common, and industry best practices are followed for most applications. Technology governance, we recognize that as the more advanced technologies are entering industrial manufacturing, the convergence of IT and OT systems are bringing together organizations that have been typically separate. So 5 considerations going forward, and you're going to hear from a couple of speakers today who have got lots to say about transformation. So we know 5 considerations are people who strive to share knowledge and information in these organizations. Agility is now recognized as a measure of success for these organizations. These same organizations tend to be customer-centric, both inside and outside the organization, especially in industrial manufacturers that make specialized products such as chemicals. Leaders, companies learn how to empower passionate change leaders at all levels of the organization, and also employees take initiative from bottom up and seek opportunities to transform business operations. So we know that organizations are fundamentally different today, so taking advantage of transformation and a transformation program requires a completely different approach in many cases. So these companies embrace a culture of knowledge sharing and information.